all you had to do is work in between the bones. So you don't need to force anything. You just find out where those joints are, and you could break down an entire elephant with a knife like this, and dinner's ready. My name is Chef Maria Hines, and today we're gonna be making a spatchcock chicken from scratch, live fire. We're gonna have a good time. We're here in Mazama, my beautiful cabin. I just recently relocated up here from Seattle so I could be closer to the mountains because that's what's near and dear to my heart. And along with that move, I had told my wife that we were gonna need a shed so we can store all of our things when we move up here. So this is the fun shed. This is the fun shed. Any time that you connect with food and you're making it from scratch, to me, that's what makes it special, because you're putting your whole heart into it and you get to share that, you're creating this experience. The other thing that's really amazing about it is food is medicine. You can heal your body, you can refuel your body, you can sleep better, you can bring up your energy level. Anything that we eat, especially if we're outside and we're moving our body, it should give something back, right? We should get a return from that. And it doesn't mean that it has to taste like okay? I think that's where a lot of people, kind of fall short. They think, oh, if it's healthy, it's not gonna taste good. We're gonna prove to you that that's not the case at all. You can get a really beautiful product, just something as simple as chicken, and we're gonna make it taste really delicious, really, really beautiful. Perfect texture, nice char, nice smoke coming off that grill. So we're gonna experience that together today. I ran out of things to say, now what do I say? Now what are we doing? That's enough talk. Let's go and cook this chicken. I'm gonna go get the fire started right now. We have a beautiful grass-fed whole chicken here. When we talk about spatchcocking, what we're doing is we're actually taking out this whole backbone. We're gonna take that out. We're gonna splay open, we're gonna butterfly the chicken, and then we're gonna make sure that we press on it so it's nice and flat. The reason why we're doing this is because it's gonna cook nice and evenly, so everything is gonna be nice and tender. A lot of times when we cook a bird whole, we get that really beautiful presentation that we're used to, but what happens is the breast ends up cooking faster than the legs do. So you end up with kind of dried out chicken breasts, and then the legs are perfectly moist. So by doing a spatchcock style, not only does it cook faster, but it cooks more evenly, so you get a tender, more moist bird. The easiest way is if you have a pair of poultry shears. And I'm gonna start right here at the tail. I'm gonna come in through here and just cut that out. You can make pretty fast work of it if you have these handy poultry shears. And then what we wanna do is we're gonna cut off just these little tips. A lot of time when it's cooking, it'll kind of lay itself on the skin of the breast, and then you don't get that beautiful, crispy, golden brown color that we're looking for. We're just gonna go ahead and cut those off. You see how it's starting to kind of flatten itself out? Now here's the thing, check it out. Now you have this right here, and this is kind of popped up a little bit. And the reason why is because you have this breastplate right here. So what you want to do is you want to kind of get in there and help flatten that out just a little bit. There we go. You can hear that little cracking noise. Any of this little extra fat, I prefer to actually cut it off. When that fat drips onto the fire, it's gonna produce a big flame, and then when it produces that big flame, a lot of times it'll get a little overburnt. If you get a little char on your bird, it's not gonna taste burnt, it's gonna be really delicious, but if you let it continue to char, then you'll get that kind of bitter flavor that is unpleasant. Now what we wanna do is we wanna marinate it. I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna squeeze lemon juice in here, so we're gonna have some nice lemon, some salt, some pepper, and now we're just gonna marinate the bird. Then we're gonna let it sit. It's gonna have time to really soak into the bird. And then after we marinate it, we're going to put the spices on here. When we season it, what we wanna do is we wanna season from up high. We're gonna take our salt, because if I season right here, you see how it's just hitting the one spot? Okay, now watch when I season from up high. You see how it's nice and evenly dispersed? The reason why you want to be really liberal with it is because think about how thick this chicken is, and you want that salt to go all the way to the bone. If we just season a little bit over the top, what happens is your first bite, the first couple of chews you have that nice seasoning, and then after that, you end up losing that flavor, and it seems like it tastes kind of bland, and you're like, how come this is kind of bland? And it's just because it didn't get seasoned all the way through. The spices, you can go any direction that you want to go in. Today we're gonna go with a little bit of chili powder and we're gonna go with a little bit of cumin, but you can use whatever you want. If you like paprika, you can use paprika. If you like ginger, anything that you wanna do just to kind of bolster up that flavor. When I go camping, I keep quite an elaborate spice kit with me because it doesn't matter what I have. If you have some really beautiful spices, you can really just kind of spark up your meal a little bit. If you want to have really nice crispy skin, one of the ways that you can achieve that is drying out the skin a little bit. How I dried out the skin on this bread was took it out of the package when I got it home, patted it dry with paper towels front and back, and then just left it to air dry in the refrigerator, no covering or anything, so the air could just circulate around the chicken. So the skin starts to slightly separate from the flesh of the bird because you are pulling the moisture out of it. If you want to quickly dry it out and you don't have a lot of time, I found that a blow dryer works really good. No, I'm not even kidding. I spatchcocked a turkey. I didn't think about, having that nice dry skin. I was like, oh man, how am I gonna do this? I'm cooking this today. And so I just got out the blow dryer for about like 10 minutes and then skins like nice and crispy, just like that. Just think of all the random hacks you're gonna learn on this show. I'm gonna chop up a little bit of parsley here. So this is Italian flat leaf parsley. You can tell it has like these nice flat leaves, but it has so much more flavor than the curly parsley. The curly parsley, it can be really bitter. It's not as pleasant. The Italian flat leaf parsley definitely has way better flavor to it. Kind of want like a nice little coarse chop on it. So after our chicken is grilled, we're gonna throw our parsley right on top of it. Let's talk about the asparagus. I keep it in a little bit of water, just like you would just cut flowers, and what happens is your asparagus isn't losing its moisture. The minute the asparagus is cut, when it's harvested, it immediately, just like any other vegetable, it starts to lose its moisture content. All right, you can see right here how it's like really fibrous, this part right here, and how it's lighter in color. And so that's the woody part. And if you eat that, it's gonna be really fibrous, it's gonna be really chewy, and it's not gonna be very delicious. So what you want to do is kind of find that natural break, and you just hold on to one end where you think that woodiness is, and when you snap it, it'll naturally come off right at the woody end of it. What we're gonna do with our asparagus too is I'm just gonna marinate it. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. I'm gonna salt it a little bit. Really simple. I mean, lemon, olive oil, it's about as simple as you can get, and it's great for camping because you can take it room temperature. All of the seasonings, like they're really light, so the asparagus can really stand up on its own. All right, let's go get the fire started. What I wanna do is I'm gonna maneuver the fire a little bit. I'm gonna put a little bit more on, put it off to the side. So if it does flame up, that we have a little bit of control. We want the actual grill grate to be nice and hot. So that way when you put the chicken on there, it's gonna get a nice sear and the skin isn't gonna stick to the grill grate. We're gonna go breast side down. You can hear that the flame's definitely coming up on it. We just won't leave it on the breast side down for as long. There's all that olive oil in the marinade, so the fat from the olive oil, that's gonna kick up a little bit of extra smoke. We're gonna turn it, and we're just gonna let it sit here just for a minute. If it seems like it's getting too hot and there's too much activity, you can pull it off, put it on your tray, wait till the fire dies down, and then put it back on. And I think I might do that. We'll see how this goes. All that olive oil on there. You see how it has this charred color? Like, you don't really need to worry about it that much. If it was just on there for a minute, it's not gonna taste overly burnt. A little bit of char is completely fine. I'm just gonna put the asparagus on while I'm waiting for that to go down to coals. So, you're constantly still working with the fire, and you're constantly still getting dinner going. You'll see what I'm doing with the asparagus. The grate's running this way, so I put the asparagus this way. They will still inevitably kind of roll into the grate, so if you lose a couple of them, that's kind of how it goes when you're grilling asparagus. Just don't worry about it too much. And the beautiful thing about asparagus is it tastes delicious, even at room temperature. Once we get all these grilled off, then we can just set them to the side and wait for our chicken to be done, and then everything will be ready to go. And while it's on here and while the asparagus is warm, I'm gonna season it a little bit. When you season it, the salt will actually go into kind of like the middle of the vegetable. So, you see that little bit of fire there? We're gonna move our chicken over here. So I have the top of my Dutch oven, and I'm just gonna place it over the chicken, and that dome is gonna create like a little bit of an oven effect. So our chicken is gonna finish up cooking. While we're waiting for that to happen, we're gonna wrap our baguette so we can just get the chill off of it and have nice warm crusty bread. So the bread's probably gonna take like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to heat up. And then the chicken itself is gonna take about 10 minutes to rest. That way it maintains all of the juices. When you have your chicken, you're just gonna double check the temperature by putting it right in the thigh. Make sure it's up at 165, and once it is, you know it's done. And you'll do this on the grill as it's cooking, just to make sure you get it up to that right temp. Now we're gonna let it rest. My wife's a musician, and if you think about the depth in music and you have nice, deep bass instrument sounds that you get, think of that as your fat. And then when you have those high tenor notes, that's like your acid. We're looking for that same texture in a flavor profile. So we wanna have that nice bass sound, we wanna have like that nice high sound with that faster cadence, and then together, that's when you create something really beautiful. Nice. We're gonna start breaking down the chicken. This is another thing that I think a lot of people find intimidating. First of all, you don't need to break it down too much if you don't want to. It's perfectly fine if you just wanna serve someone a whole leg. You don't need to go through, debone the whole thing. Keep it nice and casual, keep it simple. With the leg, it's gonna be connected into the socket right here, okay? So what you're trying to do is separate this, the chicken leg, from the hip socket there. Because it's cooked, it's gonna be really easy to do. So I'm gonna lift the leg up, come in, get that skin, and then there you go. See how that just kind of easily comes right off? There's just a little bit of skin attaching it. Okay, so you're ready to go there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the wings off. And you see there's this little bit of connective tissue right there. We're gonna get rid of that. So this right here, this is the breastplate. And what you wanna do is just come along the side of the breastplate and then gently scrape the breast meat off of the bone. I'm gonna come in through here, and then I'm right up next to the breastbone here, okay? And then see this right here, all these little bones? I'm just taking the tip of the knife, scrape, 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 scrape. You can get right in between that joint right there. You don't need to force anything. You just find out where those joints are, and you go right in between the bone, just like when you're in the outdoors, right? If you look up in the mountains and you're trying to figure out which way to go, you're gonna take the path of least resistance, right? You're not gonna like go schwacking through. If there's some little rock gully or something that you can, hike through, or if you can glissade down something, it's the path of least resistance. So it's the same thing with cooking. Right here, we have those two joints. We're gonna go in between, path of least resistance. So there we go. We have our one little chicken breast here, and then you can kind of go through and slice it up. Whoop. Put that right there. If you want to serve it kind of a little bit more of a rustic style, cut it right here and then, serve it. Ready to go. Okay. Then you can just actually serve it like this as well. I'm just gonna garnish it with a little bit more salt, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of parsley all over all of it, squeeze some lemon juice on it, and it's ready to go. And that is it. Dinner's ready. We have our grilled spatchcock chicken. We have our beautiful local asparagus. We have our baguette, grass-fed, European style, cultured butter. If you like what you saw today, please hit the like, the subscribe, leave us a comment, and I'll see you on the trail. Now what should I do? Line?
Awesome.